Welcome back, everybody. We are fourth game of the day coming your way. I feel like we've kind of like speed run it to this Dusty versus Tricked matchup, but it is going to be Dusty versus Tricked, as I have alluded to, not even alluded to, literally just said Dusty versus Tricked is this last matchup of the day. Goodness gracious, I need to sort my health out. Okay, so who do we think's winning here? Is it
Denmark?
Tricked, right? Yeah,
Denmark.
Tricked.
Yeah, Denmark.
Denmark, definitely.
Denmark.
But specifically, like obviously Dusty got their win yesterday. You don't think that's even possible to replicate it versus Tricked? Do you think there is an element of hope here for Dusty?
Yeah, I honestly think there is. I think the drafting we saw from Dusty yesterday as well was really smart. Problem is here that you're also going against one of the smarter teams in terms of draft and in terms of win conditions. I've only really seen them fumble against the side of BTXL, so it's going to be a tough ask for us. Obviously, Tricked are coming in as favorites, but I don't think it's as doomed as maybe M&M and Fnatic were, for example. But let's see if Olaf's get let through. I want to, because Olaf 100% win rate on today. And I think like NLC teams should just, take that into account, that we're not on a level where we're that good at playing around the Olaf yet. He brings a lot of pressure and you need to respect that.
Story of Olaf today, really. But yeah, I personally think the gap is pretty big. I don't know if Dusty are going to be able to keep up. Even if they get a lead, I feel like Tricked have played such a strong macro game in terms of always knowing how they want to trade out objectives if they know they're going to give it up, or if they are going to play for an objective, they always make sure they're giving up as little as possible. I actually am a really big fan of the Xayah adaptation ban though, because Xayah has been something that I choose actually lent on quite a bit. And honestly, he's been performing really well with all of the resources that he's been getting on that champion too.
Yeah, and specifically, he's been liking to play it into Kai'Sa, so I'm thinking either that Dusty are thinking about a Kai'Sa first pick himself, or if there's something else that they're alluding to, or maybe, it just might be that respect ban coming out. Renekton being taken away from Flaxius as well. Flaxius is a player that haven't really had the greatest of times in the top lane, so definitely one of the weaker points that I'd like to see on a more stable champion as well, so taking that away is maybe a bit of comfort also out of the window, and at the same time, response ban of Camille comes through, because the enemy doesn't want to first pick the Camille, so they kind of just get rid of it because the hacker or the Renekton came in.
Ban Olaf.
Now here's the thing, because the Xayah ban's down, I'm wondering if they're going to leave Olaf up to try and trade between the two, but they're not even going to risk that going down. I think it just kind of spells out a Kai'Sa first pick, unless there's something else Dusty really want above the AD carry. I think it's just a good takeaway, solid blind. It sort of puts Archu down one more tier, though the Aphelios can be there to answer it.
And that's going to be the question. Udyr is also being left open here, and that could give you some room around with a Kai'Sa if you want to front to back, if you want to have some movement speed. Now, Udyr, one of the champions that has been kind of hard to be shutting down. He's got fast clean in the early game, and if you're not abusing that, maybe if he's going ghost that, he's an easy target to take onto. He's going to have too much movement speed in the late game, so you're kind of trying to abuse him with the lane pressure, trying to get the objectives going, because that's something that Udyr is really good himself at doing, so you kind of want to shut down that. We're opting into the Talia for Flipper, something that's been in strong side, and Paulson getting the Twisted Fave as well, so you got pick potential here already.
Yeah, and not only that, the Pantheon is also still up too, which is something that we saw M&M technically run the free top side there of the Pantheon Talia and the Twisted Fate, which could be something Tricked could consider as just sort of a flex. And Archu does play random mages like the Veigar of old too. So Talia could very well be in his champion pool if it has to end up going bot side as well, if we're getting really
that's very mad scientist.
Yeah, if we're getting mad scientist about it.
Is it Legion's old school pick here? Because this is a very classic, like old school Legion's pick to go for the Rise in this situation. No, this is probably more comfortable, right?
He's just honoring Sahira right now with the flex.
He's honoring
the Rise, you got the
Victor,
and he's probably just going to pick something else. Oh, he's actually going to be the Victor going into it. Okay, interesting. So that means that you won't really have a support to pair up with this Kai'Sa just yet, but you want to prioritize having a control mage in the mid lane, which makes sense here. But Twisted Fave is not going to be pushed in too hard and punished too hard by a Victor in the early game, so that does mean that he will scale pretty safely towards having his Destiny gate open and try to have an influence on the map. And with that pretty much being open, I guess you could actually the Nah here for Nilla, and this should be telegraphed because Nilla just blind picks this Nah every time. Like, he does not give a damn. I don't know why it's a surprise to me every time. I write it down in my notes. Nilla will blind pick Nah. I just never remember it for draft.
I think the surprise more comes because with most other teams, we would expect the AD carry to come in there, right? Just so the pool doesn't get pinched down a little bit. But we'll have to see. Like I said, Archu is a bit of a mad scientist sometimes with some of these picks. So we'll have to see what actually ends up being defaulted to. But Nilly on this Nard, it's no secret. This man is a bit of a monster on it. Flaxius is going to have probably a bit of a hard time, especially if we see just 2 more top bans. Comfort's removed away from Flaxius.
And we've seen Flaxius and Nilla play against each other. Last time, Flaxius was onto the Jace and lost out in the counter matchup. Like that started the trajectory of our opinion of Flaxius here not having the best of time in this case scenario. And now remember, Archu is the kind of guy that played Ashe AD carry with Imperial Mandate. Like his champion pool is honestly a bit of an ocean here, so that's loads of stuff to pick from his side, so you shouldn't be too worried about it. But obviously Dusty needs to get rid of some of the priorities. Like you don't want to give the Senna over, and now Misfortune being taken away as well.
I wonder if they're going to hold on to the AD pick here and maybe try and pick up a prior support with the Alistar ban, unless they just wanted to remove away the sort of the combination. Time is ticking, so we'll have to see what Trick actually won here. And it seems like it's going to be that. Yeah.
They're going to go for the Thresh. I like the Thresh. Thresh is really, really high tier support, I think, in the current meta, and I think Balu getting his hands on it is a good thing. Let's see where Dusty round their composition out. They're looking for a top laner for Flaxish. Knows he's playing into Gnar. Obviously, with the Camille and the Irelia gone, you've got a couple of picks that are traditionally quite good. I wonder if we see Flaxish do what we've been seeing in the LCK. Just go, again, like we saw in the previous match, just go for the GP here if he feels comfortable.
You are going for the on here instead. So instead of challenging the Gnar with the counter pick, you're going for the weak side here, which I honestly think is fine. I wanted Flaxius on something that was more stable. This is something where you can still play for Hoist in a team fight. Going back to the Thresh pick, it is Balu's most played champion, and it was target banned against him multiple times in the Telia Masters as well. So that's something you need to pay attention to when we get in game. That is one of his comfort. And routing on this draft composition, we just need the support pick coming in here. It is going to be the Nautilus as well. So you got that point and click CC if you want to go on to a priority target with it. And I think I would love this, Aphelios, because most of the champions from the side of Dusty are champions that run around into you. You got the Udyr, you got the Kaiser, and if you can kite back here with the stun card with some hooks, you pretty much got what you need from that point on. But let's see what they decide to go with, because they are talking for a long time. And as you said, Jamada, Archer does love his mages as well, but it is going to be the Aphelios.
I'm a fan, honestly. It's not really going to get pressured out too hard. It's not like there's an Orianna there as opposed to the Victor, which Orianna traditionally does give the Aphelios some issues. But honestly, as long as he's playing around that Ornn armor, Archu is going to be sitting relatively pretty in this game in a lot of the team fights, I think. As long as they don't sort of end up running into Dusty, which realistically, if this composition should never happen, they should be pretty fine in a lot of these sort of neutral objective skirmishes.
Well, do remember the last time that these teams played, it was an absolute banger of a game. Like, it was very back and forth, and really, I actually think Dusty were in the driving seat for quite a significant period of it, and then Trick just managed to eke it out at the end. So I'm hoping we get another banger, because we've had some relatively one-sided affairs today.
Yeah, I will say I think Trick's composition is a bit harder to execute on. You need to play around the global presence, whereas Dusty is way easier to execute. So it's a tougher task for Trick, and I honestly like the draft from Dusty. I think it's something that suits the style of play right now. So it's going to come down to how well Trick will navigate the global map.
Well, we'll see how Trick can indeed try and navigate around that hard-to-execute composition again. I think, Goldberg would agree, Polson is one of the mid laners that I think is very capable of putting TF off.
The best mid laner right now.
There you go, the best mid laner right now. He said it. I didn't even need to say it. Gonna hand it over to our wonderful, beautiful, extraordinary casters, Hitbrain and Orcs, for our final game of the day.
Well, thank you very much, Scoundrel. Hello and welcome back to the caster desk, rounding out the day with Tricked versus Dusty. A lot of global pressure from Tricked. That's what was getting hit on, but they need to make sure that they do execute on the map right. So when that level 6 comes forward, when Flipper can surf into a lane and Polson can Destiny in as well, see how they're going to be able to handle that. However, Dusty did get their hands on the Udyr, something that's been banned away in all 3 games today.
Yeah, and the Udyr has a lot of power, but my concern is you're against another farming jungler, and ideally Udyr wants to be pressuring, getting a lot of camps, being able to invade Flipper's jungle, because really Flipper's not able to do much in response. But I don't think you really have the priority to do so. Nilly's going to have a great time against the Ornn. In the mid lane, Paulson's going to be able to, at least in the early levels, shove against Legions. And in the bot lane, this is a really solid matchup for the Aphelios threat. It's something that's been picked up specifically to target Kaisers. That's why Aphelios has returned to the meta, just because Kaiser really can't go walk up to him in lane. She gets decimated later in the game. She gets decimated. It's just a really nice draft, I feel like, from Tricked in that regard. But, you know, if Dusty get into the later stages of the game, if Udyr gets rolling, they have a lot of strong scaling tools. And there is some burden of execution for Tricked on this one.
Well, we're on to the Rift for our fourth and final game of the day. Dusty on this blue side, Tricked on the red. See how this goes down as we finally get an Udyr today.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
I'm going to miss him when he gets his nerfs. His next patch he gets his nerfs, right?
On 11-3. I mean, they barely touched him.
Oh, really? He's still going to be... Okay, cool. I just thought that he was getting nerfed and was assumed it was like, he's dead.
It's like you know how they buffed him like 8 times in a row?
Yeah.
They reverted one of those slightly. It's like, so his aura damage is going down, like total base active aura damage is going down like 25. So, you know, it's... I think if it's like... That's part of the buffs that sort of made him relevant, but realistically, I think there's like people have realized his strengths. I don't think he's just going to disappear like straight away.
Yeah.
That's not enough certainly from just getting knocked out the meta, because again they buffed both parts of his ult damage quite substantially, and this isn't like a substantial nerf. It's a moderate one for sure, but it's not a substantial one. So I just think he'll still be strong. Clear speed will be like 900 miles an hour, not 1,000 miles an hour.
I'm curious what you think they're going to do to him, because he's got voted on getting the update in a recent poll. I'm curious to see what they're going to do to Udyr. Like,
so
how do you keep his identity without like ruining his identity, but also make him
every time you click a stance, it makes you turn into a different animal that has a completely different kit. Each ability has a passive, a sub-passive, and then a co-passive, right?
And a free hit bonus on his auto attacks.
Yes. Not just his auto attacks, but on his mouse clicks. So every time you click on your mouse 3 times, the third mouse click has an extra effect.
Yeah.
Because we're all about those.
Bear stance is going to have a dash.
Yep. All the stances actually have a dash.
Yeah.
He just dashes endlessly. It's like, you remember when they reworked Rengar? And he used to, like, his Q had like a little dash, and he just used to run around and just Q everywhere.
Oh,
that one was definitely a swing and a miss. There's been some great reworks. I think like Scion is always the example I always use.
I use
like
GP.
A really solid rework. GP is another good one.
The best rework they've ever done.
I think the only downside to GP is the fact that he was like incredibly broken for such a long time. But all in all, yeah, I agree it was a good rework. But Scion, I think, was just... Scion was really broken for a while as well, so I can't even talk, but I think Scion was great. I think it's a cool champion. It's a tank, the skill expression, but also the ult's really fun. I don't know.
I think Warwick was really good as well. Like, I genuinely think, like, he's not like a meta.
No one plays him, so it's like, wow.
But his theme is cool, and the way he plays is actually, I really like him.
I don't even. What does he even do? Who even knows? Who plays that champion? No one. There we go.
He's a lot better than he used to be. Back when he just used to blink and suppress someone. Looks like Chelmey's going to look to contest Flipper here.
Yeah, but this was a problem.
Even his junglers have smite, and
he didn't have
Chelmey's
priority.
actually caught out. The crab jukes him hard, and Chelmey has to flash. That crab was actually paid by Tricked.
Yeah, so I actually saw this. There was a series earlier, T1 was playing in Korea, and there was an Udyr, and he wanted to make things happen. I think it was Peanut playing. And he just didn't have priority, and he couldn't. And I think I'm seeing a similar thing here, where Udyr doesn't have priority, and so all the cool Udyr things he wants to do, he just can't. Right? They already have the ward set up, great deep ward coming in, throw ward over the wall, and he's like, it's go time, I can handle Talia, and then Twisted Fate and Gnar turn up. And it's like, you look at the lanes, and like, bot lane shoving, they've already got a plate. Mid lanes holding priority now. Lily's actually let top wave push out, but Edison, I don't think he dies here, but he's in trouble.
Ignite. Not going to be enough to cook him to death here. But this bot lane
You can see
is
the pressure.
really, really bad right now for Dusty. And Chelm's going to, as you said, you can see him feeling the pressure from these lanes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, it's like this lane was specifically taken because people were blinding Kai'Sa first pick because it's so powerful, and it puts you in a really big hole. What I think what was kind of egregious is the fact it went to the second rotation without any of the bot lane picked up, and they managed to get a Philios Thresh here.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Dusty's bans are bad because obviously they banned other problematic champs, but realistically, he just ended up in a really bad situation.
Flaxish, there's a pretty big wave here crashing into him. Pretty low in the old health bar department right now. Same for Nilly though. And there is an Udyr potentially sniffing around this bot lane, although it's going to be hard. You're walking into a fresh Aphelios, and I believe fresh Aphelios had his Graviton, so it's going to be an incredibly hard one as Flaxish actually looking for Nilly, Call of the Forge God. Going to get used to Nilly, able to hop away to safety. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, they decide not to go for it. Chelm's going to reset and just go back to farming.
I think Flipper's starting Dragon. I mean, again, you have priority. Look at mid lane. Look at bot lane.
Yep, Flipper's on Dragon.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, I feel like the Udyr pick for it to work, priority's key. It's similar to like how Nidalee was back in the day. Where like you want to take over the jungle, you want to be farming 1,000,000 miles per hour. You want to scale up and like get farmed up and be a monster, but if you're kind of trapped in your own jungle, it's not as ideal. You do see Chill making a bit of headway in the top side, but he'll dip out. As not gonna risk things too much.
Well,
have
Nilly,
flash available.
I think Nilly saw the Scryers and moved
went
over
over
to defend his jungle to make sure Flipper doesn't lose any camps. And ultimately, Chelm not able to pick anything up. Does get a crab at the least. He did get double grabbed at the beginning of the game, so that's nice for him. But it's just going to look to hand over this blue buff to Legions and in return to farming up his jungle as all his camps will respawn.
Pretty slow paced game, which honestly, I don't think either side is too upset about, but we now have the ultimates available to Paulson and Flipper. So we saw the global pressure last game. There's more for here. Definitely going to limit the playmaking for Dusty. But really, we want to see what Trick can do to enable this. Like, you draft these champions because you want to make an impact. You want to make things happen. But it does get tricky at this point because obviously Legions now has a lost chapter and should be getting close to having his laser upgraded. And that's when he can really just take over the priority in the mid lane.
Yeah. Very Paulson favored at the moment, but once that Death Ray gets upgraded, waves get one shot pretty quickly. As hook is going to land on Tipperderson, gets himself chunked out heavily and has to hook shot to safety. Pedersen just getting really bullied in this lane as Baloo's going to go down. His first blood for Hoyes. Tricked! What were you doing?
What?
Tragedy.
Nice W there for Flaxish.
Nilly's getting jumped onto. Flaxish is going to get chunked as Call of the Forge God's going to hit, and Flipper's been found out by Chelm. Has to flash the wall. Chelm has no flash, so won't be able to follow in for him. But this will be this.
What is
Rift Herald going down? Although Baloo back from inting, going to see if he can do something here.
It was a tactical reset.
Destiny's being used and into the gravity, but Folson's going to do a bunch of damage to Legions. There is a kill on Flaxish on the other side. Chelm was able to pick up the Rift Herald, and now gold card's onto him. There's going to be a good Void Seeker, and Hoyes dodging away on the hook, gets himself caught out by the flay, flashes out from the box. The gravity field has been used into everything as Chelm jumps over the wall with not a lot of health, and Folson's just going to flash wild card, almost finds the kill. Not sure why Chelm took that one, to be completely fair with you. Meanwhile, Achu just free farming in the bot lane.
Yeah, so I mean, the negative here is the fact that you lost 2 kills in them on Kai'Sa. The positive is that you managed. I mean, we're going to replay this first. I really want to see this. The Ignite got him aggro again. Yeah, I mean, don't know what else there is to say. Don't get him a tower range and there's a dot on someone. Now, I was kind of focused on the top fight before, so I'm going to look at the bottom fight. And essentially, I mean, this would be super heavily favored towards Trick if they had 4 members, but they only have 2 there initially because The rest are dealing with Flaxish. And then Hoyes dashes in, easily picks up this kill, flashes out again. And then this fight's never going to be won by Tricked because the 80 carry is not there and he's not coming anytime soon. So,
Baloo's found another hook, and Pedersen once again finds
he's
himself
just not
caught
having a fun
out.
time.
Honestly, Baloo is just bullying Pedersen right now.
So, I mean, the upside is that we got 3 plates for Trick's bot lane, and the Aphelios is up in farm, but the downside is that 2 kills went straight to Kai'Sa, so not ideal. Dusty've actually moved the Victor down to try and deal with this wave. Obviously, we're having too much success with the Kai'Sa in the bot lane, whereas Victor, a little bit of a better time just clearing the waves out.
Oh, gonna use the gravity field into the stun. Everybody's caught out as the Moonlight Vigil will look to spread the Infernum, but Chel's already found himself a kill. Baloo has to go golden. The snipe is almost enough to get the kill from a Chew. Doesn't quite hit that last Calibrum. And
You know
a nice
what?
pick there from Dusty.
That's why they moved the Victor bot lane. That was a lot more than a Kai'Sa would have done in that situation. A gravity field and the ultimate came in clutch from Legion, so great decision, honestly, from Dusty to make that swap. I think Kai'Sa's a lot more comfortable chilling in the mid lane, especially if he has cleanse up and available. Just overstep, but yeah, I mean, this is a mid lane play. I mean, Pedersen just face checks when you have no vision. And then he didn't even see him, he's just wandering about, and he just gets picked. It's really easy setup. Gold card and the hook, easy as he goes. But I mean, imagine this situation with a Kai'Sa. It goes nothing like this, but the double stun comes out. The damage as well from the Victor, really significant, even at this early point. Could have been 2 kills, but ultimately getting the 1 denying the dive, absolutely massive for Dusty. And I just think really smart decision to go, okay, Kai'Sa bot lane into the Aphelios isn't working.
Yeah.
What can we do? And they came up with a reaction.
Unfortunately, we did have a quick mouse issue on the side of Trick, so they are just getting that sorted out, and we get back.
Yeah,
into
they
the
said
game
it's on
as
this
soon as
before,
possible.
but I'm pretty sure it happened that minutes ago.
Wasn't that? I just take stock of where we are item-wise. Legions has finished up his Luna's Echo now, so the waves are now just going to get one shot by him when he walks up to them. Paulson, I don't believe was based for a little while because it's just sitting on the Lucidity boots and a Hextech alternator. Probably doesn't have the upgrade to the Proto Belt yet, just purely because of the fact that he did go for tier 2 boots while Legions is using magical footwear, so hasn't actually spent any gold or invested any gold that way. Double Barmies on the side of Dusty's top and jungle, and for the most part, that's it. It's the only mythic in the game at the moment is Legions, so it's just component items elsewhere. And I think it's been a bit more back and forth. I thought from the wave that the game was going early for Tricked, I thought this was them just going to be able to kind of take over the map. But Dusty are contesting them and finding picks here and there, and ultimately the gold is not even 1,000 apart right now.
I mean, it's over.
It's 1,000 apart. It's 1,300.
Your maths has really been off today, Jake. Honestly.
What time is it? It's 9. It's 9 o'clock.
You need some tutoring or something. You need to start multiplication tables between games. It's the only way.
Our observer's opened a calculator on his screen for me. Thanks, mate. Really, really helping there, mate.
Oh, he's doing the math. Yeah, 18,600.
Yeah, you guys at home can't see this, so luckily I'm not getting trolled. But he's luckily getting called off on that one because it is time for the game to continue.
That's some quick maths. It wasn't actually that quick, but it was maths, so you know.
I passed maths. I don't know how.
I don't know either, in all honesty.
You don't know why I passed more than how. Well, Dragon's going to get picked up here for Dusty. Trick's not going to be able to do too much about that one. There's a Dragon apiece between these teams, and we are looking at a Cloud Soul right now. As Baloo making a play towards the top side. Flaxish needs to be a little careful. So he does have the Call of the Forge God to clear the wave out if he needs. Lantern's going to pull Flipper in. Call of the Forge God's used to clear the wave, and Flaxish, I mean, able to dodge away a lot of that.
Not bad.
Somehow Flaxish gets out.
Manages to avoid a lot of things there. Ultimately, no Mega Gnar is the real critical factor in that situation.
Oh, Paulson's down. He's got the gold card, but Hoist just goes for the cleanse. Everything led in. Stopwatch used. Paulson will lose his life here ultimately. As another gold card comes in, and the Ignite will be able to secure the kill. Ultimately, Paulson denied Hoist that kill there.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, it's the power of the Kai'Sa, just being able to assassinate like that. And the Herald we saw earlier gets thrown down. Legion's getting first tower blood. Already probably the most fed member on the team in the game, rather, and he's getting even more gold in his pocket. Things looking pretty solid for Dusty.
Oh, Flaxish is cut off. Nod back, wallop back, thrown back, and with a threaded volley, Flipper secures the kill. Nilly takes a couple of tower shots, but he is able to survive that one, and this should be a bunch of plates picked up here just before they fall off for the side of Tricked.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different when you have the Mega Gnar available for that setup. Easily allows Clear to go in and land that knockback. Yeah, I mean, Kaiser's, especially with the cleanse, the stun card just does nothing. You have to wait for the second rotation, and Pedersen gets in range. Even the stopwatch isn't enough, because Achu's trying to come in and do damage, but he really doesn't want to tango because he knows Paulson's nearly dead, and the Ignite is just enough to finish. Got to be respectful of that. Kaiser can just come out of nowhere, it seems. And, I mean, yeah, this is that play on repeat, but we have Mega Gnar, so it works.
As we come out of the replay, we see up in the top lane, Hoyes has swapped out to try and see if he can finish up that turret. Won't be able to find any plates. Got 20 seconds left on that, and Wave's not really in the position to contest it. Chemtank now finished up onto Chelm. Kraken Slayer onto Achu. Dusty just rotating around the map right now. That tower in the bot lane is very, very low for them, so a lot of gold there for Tricked, and same for the topside turret as well. Tricked could just blow the gold lead up for themselves.
1,000 gold lead between mid laners for Legions. This is obviously a factor, but mostly from the fact he picked up that bottom tower. Lou actually looks to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the Chaos Storm, he's down here. Bear Stance is going to put the dot on, and Legion's able to secure that with the last. The threaded volley doing a lot of damage as Achu actually looking to get the Gravitum off onto Legion's into the gold card. This is one dead robot. The Moonlight Vigil will secure the kill as it spreads from Flaxish, but the Call of the Fall God comes in. Dusty found one in response. The gold card is on, and now it has to flash away. Hook goes wide from Pedersen. And ultimately, Dusty not going to find anything else there. They find themselves a 2-for-1.
Yeah, they'll take that in this situation. Unfortunately, lose Legions. Does get locked down, and Paulson comes in to save the day, but still a positive trade for Dusty, and they're really finding the footing in this game. Looking just to move on to this Herald. I think the big thing there, do you see the Udyr damage when he first hit Blue? We'll get to see it again, so you'll see. But just watch, when Chilm just goes, boom. I know there's a follow-up from the Victor, but this is a 0 damage item Udyr. And it's just he just hits him like a truck. That's why Udyr is broken, if you're wondering. The fact he has so much damage with no damage items is just kind of nuts.
Yeah, they literally just buy a Lich Bane, and then that's it. Just
I mean, there's a lot of Udyrs who don't even buy the Lich Bane. You definitely can, and it's definitely a thing a lot of Udyrs do, but you can't actually just go without it. We saw Nalty do that the other day on Udyr. He just went Dead Man's Plate second. Because again, the base damage is just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Flaxish needs to be careful, as once again, a lot of people waiting around near him, although this wave getting thinned out, and Hoyes is going to take some time to take this top lane tower, at least get a big chunk of damage into it. But he decides not to hang around. There's the Gale Force for Hoyes finished up on this base. Flaxish still level 10, just hit level 11, so a bit of a ways before these ornaments start to come in.
What's it called again? Is the Typhoon?
Typhoon is the Gale Force.
Yeah. You learn them now. What's the Chem Tank?
A lot of them, but not all of them. I couldn't tell you what Chem Tank becomes. I'm not sure if it's still Tempest on the Ludens. There's a teleport coming in. We need to be a little careful, though. Maybe it's Nilly who has to hop away. The bear slap will stun him down for the moment, and Hoyes able to make his grand escape. Dragon's up, and it looks like Trick to the team in control of the area for the moment.
You have to respect them. A lot of CC potential can come in with the likes of the Twisted Fate and the Thresh. So I think they're just sacrificing this dragon. They got the Herald. No, they don't have the Herald. Yes, they do have the Herald. I'm going back and forth. They do have the Herald. So they'll just take the mid tower, but looks like Trickster wanting to fight.
Oh, Nilly on that flank there. Does have Nard. Chelm's getting cut down really quick. The Call of the Forge God. And that is the end of the support. So far, they found themselves two. Flipper's able to jump away, and Hoyes has to flash away. The Seismic Shell's been used. There's the Chaos Storm from Legions. Paulson looking for the gold card. Not going to be able to find it. They are getting cooked up a little bit. But ultimately, second charge out of the Rift Herald. Trade tower for 2.
Dragon as well, though. So I think Tricked pretty happy with that one. Especially able to find a little bit of a gold lead on the back of that. I think Dusty just a little bit disrespectful with that one. I know you want to throw it on the Herald mid. I know it's an effective play, but they positioned in a way that guaranteed a fight was going to come off the back of it. And I think that was the mistake. I think you take the tower and you back off and you move towards the top side of the map. That should have been the play. And we're going to see from the replay, but it was just kind of a little bit overambitious for Dusty, and they ended up paying for it. So you'll see in this situation, I mean, look at Pedersen's position and how he moves down. They should have just like let the Herald hit and all moved up, but Pedersen's looking for an engage. Flaxius is then like, okay, let's go. Chilm isn't getting out. They should have made the call, we're leaving, get out. And instead they end up overcommitting, and it's not even like they finished off the tower. I know they did damage to let the Herald do it, but it kind of was just like, oh, okay, I guess we have to fight now. Oh no, we're not going to win, let's back away. There should have been a plan, there should have been a call. Back away, get out, you've done the damage to the tower, it's going to be pretty frail.
And then just going to cut them away. Gale Force used by Hoyes to make sure he doesn't get caught off, so he's okay. Tower will stand for the moment. So Legion's not able to get that cannon. Didn't want to get caught out, so didn't want to overstep. And now that they've shown back in the mid lane, looks like this tower will finally go down to Hoyes. Nearly might have to be a little bit careful. Could get jumped onto. Has got the stride breaker though and the flash, so should be safe.
It's kind of the concerning thing though, right? Is the fact that Dusty have 3 towers to 1, yet they're down in gold. I think largely in part due to the first tower gold, the plates that came in. But it's like if Trick start to find an advantage and start taking those towers, they will very quickly fly ahead of Dusty in terms of gold. So a little bit worrisome. Still seeing like sizable amount of golden Legions and Hoyes, but I think a Chu right now. Actually, like to see the gold numbers because I'm assuming 201 with 201 farm, he should be probably leading in terms of gold.
No,
Guess not.
you don't.
There we go. Yeah, he's
oh,
tied with Legions. I think Legions get the first tower, obviously a big factor in that, but a lot of Fed carries in this game. A lot of champions who can do a lot of damage. It's going to be pretty crazy navigating in the team fights. I think the big thing is that Tricked have great kite back. They have a lot of tools to be able to allow the other team run at them and deal with them. And there's strong engage from the side of Dusty, but playing into that could be really dangerous, especially if the Aphelios isn't challenged. And the thing is, they don't really have any great flankers on Dusty either. Like, realistically, Flaxius isn't going to flank. Chilm isn't really that great at flanking. It's kind of like they need someone from Trick to be out of position, or they need to find like a really strong engage that just locks up the backline of Trick.
"20 minutes on the clock. Gold lead very close, like you were saying." Realistically, only 1,500 gold separating these teams, as we can see. The gold over time been a little up and down, actually. And honestly, one good fight for Dusty. They could pull this back. I mean, maybe when Hoyes gets his collector, they'll feel really comfortable to fight. Already fighting into a Chu as the Hurricane and the Kraken Slayer. Flaxish level 12 at the moment, and the Destiny's been used. So seeing where that's going to get thrown down, looks like they are looking for Pedersen. The gold card will hit him, but Pedersen able to get away from the death sentence from Blue.
Yeah, I wanted to go fishing, try and get a pick before Dragon spawns to secure it. It's not too much of an investment because ultimately the Destiny is like a massive tool in team fights. But if they'd got Pedersen there, it very much could have meant a secured third Dragon for the side of Tricked. But now they'll just put some damage in this mid lane tower, and Dusty aren't in position to respond at all.
Well, his case, a pretty nasty amount of damage there, considering. Remember that Destiny's on a fairly short cooldown because they've already got one Cloud Dragon, reducing its CD. So, pretty nice for them, and Paulson is already used up almost half of his cooldown. If they get a second Dragon, it's going to get even more frequently. They can just use Destiny almost as a throwaway tool flipper, and Nilly have to be quite careful here. It's the hook from Pedersen, not going to hit. Tricked able to get away.
Yeah, Dusty, I mean, it kind of felt like they weren't going to contest the Dragon just because Legions was top farming by himself, and then they like pulled towards Baron to kind of threaten it. But realistically, I think Trick knew there wasn't too much of a threat. They did go up and check, make sure. But now they'll just let Choose tread the Dragon, and it's going to go away uncontested. Dusty not even wanting to try.
Yeah, she's going to pick the dragon up. That's the third one. It's not the most impactful dragon, to be completely fair, in this game. Kai'Sa always loves the Cloud Soul. She does use it very effectively. Same for the likes of Anudir. He does use it very well, but...
Pretty nuts on TF, in all honesty.
TF is good, actually, yeah, to be fair, because he can Destiny almost at a whim. Be on a very, very short cooldown. And then
Not just that, but if he gets
he's going to use it again. Legions might be in trouble here. Throws out the Chaos Storm, gets the Gravity Field, and it's a bit of a cook. Knockup's going to land onto 2, but Flaxish, that's the best he can get now, as Nilly is running him down. The Boomerang will slow him. Flaxish is taking so much damage. Dusty kind of just caught sleeping in the mid there.
I mean, that's the problem, is that there's no cleanse on this Victor. You got cleanse on the Kai'Sa. Potentially can navigate positions like that a little bit better, but the Victor up far in the lane, no way of getting out, and we'll see a quick replay. I mean, yeah, just look at Legion's position. No way you can step that far up when your team aren't even there to support you. Very easy pick for Trick to get out.
If we take a look, actually, as we come back from the replay, look at the vision around that Baron area. All red. They haven't got too much off to the side, kind of giving them flanks, but as you can see...
Stop ruining Jake's point by clearing it.
I was trying to make a point. Still, they have very little vision. He is able to clear through a lot of the vision and deny it, but there's not been much vision placed back in response by Dusty.
Pedersen puts a ward down.
There's
Good job.
a couple of wards in the area. Yeah, they finally gone down. Like, as I make the point, they prove me wrong. So...
maybe they're listening. Like, oh,
maybe they are.
Jake just mentioned we don't have wards of Baron. Let's go put some down. What does Jake say next? I mean, to be honest, if they're listening to your advice, Jake, they probably deserve to lose this game.
Yeah, to be fair, I'll give you that one. Rapid fire cannon finish on Paulson, so he's going to be even more irritating with these long range gold cards. And now Trickster just can clear out this vision.
All that hard work for nothing. Oh,
You need
Pedersen.
to be careful. Pedersen might
Pedersen?
find him. Graviton's going to dodge. Does get caught out by the depth charge. Hoist may want to jump into the back, but I really doubt that. She's going to get knocked up. Actually, no, he's not. He's going to miss it. He's going to whiff it. Nilly's going to get the kill. And somehow Achu is still alive through all of that. I don't know how that happened. It's a double kill already picked up for Paulson as he's destinying in for Legions. Gets the gold card, looking for the wild cards, and finds himself the triple. How did Achu live?
I mean, I think a big factor was it was an Ornn and a Nautilus, and they had no damage. A little bit ambitious, I'll be honest, from Dusty. And by ambitious, I mean, I don't know what they were doing. But they did it, and they weren't successful, and now Baron going underway. Chilm's trying to make his way over, but it's gone. It's gone. Goodbye.
Chelm's not even bothered. He's just going bot side. He wants to farm.
I think he's bothered. He's just unable to do anything. I think he's probably substantially frustrated at the fact that they just gave him a Baron. But we're gonna replay. So I mean, Pedersen, I have no idea what you're doing here at all. The TP feels like, oh, guess I better save our support. And then like, even though Achu kind of insta the flash here, I mean, flash is insta-ult, but either way, they don't have the damage to kill him. He's got plenty of HP. And on the other side, Nilly just absolutely smashes the Kai'Sa into a wall. So yeah, just really messy from Dusty, in all honesty. I'm not sure what Pedersen was doing, and the rest of Dusty kind of felt forced to follow up on it, and it just ends up being really costly. If Pedersen dies, it's not that big of a deal. He shouldn't have been there, but just let him die, and then you can contest the Baron 4v5. Down a support sucks, but happens. Instead, they just gave the Baron away?
You know, they're going to call it the Forge God. Good gold card onto Chelmy. Flashes forward. Hoist slides into the back line. That's the shutdown. The Chaos Storm cooking Flipper. And Dusty quickly find 2. Make it 3. And this should just be Dragon.
That's more like it. Going for the very aggressive play there. Getting on top of Achu. Throwing everything at him. And they managed to get him down. Really solid play. And Trick just not ready for that level of engage. So we see here Achu playing super aggressive far up. He has the Lantern, but that only moves him to safety. And Chilm with the Chem Tank lands a stun. The knockup's there as well. And then Hoist can follow up. This is the power of Kai'Sa in compositions that want to dive the enemy backline. And it just performs so well. All that kiting, all that peel we're talking about for Trick just wasn't there. And Dusty managed to pretty handily shut down that Baron push.
Really, really clean stuff there. Hoys with the Collector, with the Typhoon. Now closing in on that Hurricane. That's kind of the big three. Do believe the Supercharge is actually evolved now. He's got enough attack speed to work with that. So got the invisibility on the Kai'Sa. Good stuff overall here from Dusty. Able to pull back what was honestly starting to look a little bit too dicey for him. They do still have to worry, though. They are still down in gold. This Aphelios is still very, very fed. So that kind of play needs to happen again a couple more times for them to be able to really pull ahead of where Tricked are currently at.
The critical thing is Chu needs to be in a position where the Lantern gets him from safe to safer. If he's in a super dangerous position, then it puts him from like an int position to a slightly less int position. Like, just because you have a Thresh doesn't mean you can overcommit like that, especially when you're flashless. So Chu has to be more careful in these situations. And Dusty, they're looking for it again, I feel.
Trick's going to find the hook. Pedersen's going to get caught. Here's the call of the forwards. Got Chelm just bolting onto the back line. Hoy slides in and assassinates a Chu. That's another kill easily picked up. Dusty find 2. Really, really good stuff here from Dusty.
Dusty, you're just like, do you want to see me kill your AD carry? Do you want to see me do it again?
I mean, Chelm just bolts, follows where the depth charge goes, and then it's just easy pickings onto a Chu. Chu doesn't have a QSS. He doesn't have the survivability here. And nearly
like
gets
I said,
his base interrupted.
Lantern needs to take you from safe to safer, right? A Chu can't just like into his positioning because he's like, I have a Thresh, because Thresh was completely not in a position to save him there. Really, really just messy play from Tricked in this situation, but credit to Dusty, they're finding these openings and they're forcing them. And it's giving them a window back into this game. We'll get a replay. I mean, yeah, like look at where Thresh goes here. So Thresh should be behind a Chu, allowing him a safety lantern, but instead he's in front. So he has nothing to help a Chu out. Depth charge, Horn, stun from the bear, and then Hoyes just flies in and finishes him off. And instantly the team fight falls apart. I mean, it wouldn't even call that a team fight. It was an assassination, and it was very successful.
Chem Tank plus Dead Man's Plate, sorry, on Chelm just means when he switches into that bear stance, he is so quick. And honestly, Chu has nowhere to go. He can flash, but Chelm will find him, and then Hoyes will follow. What is his movement speed at the moment?
Like when he pops one of his stances, it's like 570, and that's without
574 at the moment.
That's without Chem Tank.
And that's not a stack
Or
Dead Man
Smite
either,
or
I
Phase
believe.
Rush. It's just, he's just so fast. Like, that's the thing, like a dash will carry you a distance and then it stops. But like, movement speed, you just zoom in.
And Hoyes is only getting stronger now. Getting closer towards that Infinity Edge next is, I think it's just more from Dusty. They just need to do this more. Just call Tricked out on their ARAM almost.
Yes, but really, please, a Chu Blue. Positioning, it's critical. It's the solution to all your problems.
Just don't die, Forehead. Hoyes goes to base, buys a stopwatch. Double stopwatch on the side of Dusty as well, which is pretty big for them here.
Always a sign that like the next fight's going to be a big one. I mean, I believe it. Baron's up in 30 seconds, and with the state of both bases, in all honesty, a successful Baron fight could mean an end at this late in the game. So things are a little bit on edge, and those stopwatches definitely a clutch buy. Although Legions actually ended up with the Zhonya's, so we'll have that stasis available still. What sort of cooldown? Now here's something I'd like to criticize. Flaxius has a Doran shield.
Yeah.
Bro, it's 31 minutes in the game. Sell it and buy a pink, honestly. Like, what value are you getting from a Doran shield?
There's a reason why. He hasn't been to base. He just builds his own items.
True. He's never based once.
Never
Sure,
based.
True. But like, I mean, even Doran's blade, I think there's more justification. It's still wrong, but at least like you're getting Omnivamp, which is like which does scale well. But like Doran's shield is just so useless late game.
Oh, actually, they just flashed straight
What
in.
a flay!
Hoyes gets interrupted by the flay. Really, really nice stuff there. He does need to dodge away from that seismic shove. Is able to do so. He gets the knock up onto Nilly here in the bot side. Nilly is bullying Flaxish. That flay from Baloo was potentially game saving.
Please stop fighting so we can get a replay. I want to see that again. Looks like I don't think we're getting a wish. Oh, maybe we are. I mean, just the timing on this. Oh, it wasn't even the play, it was the wall! I mean, you can't plan that. You can't plan that. You cannot plan that ever in a million years.
That's so tragic.
You couldn't recreate that if you tried. I assumed it was the play. That's actually nuts. That is so high IQ from Flipper. He didn't even know he was doing it. Man, that's a tilter for Dusty. As you said, that could have been game winning. That could have been Baron. Good thunk.
Could have been, should have been. But Flipper flips the bird, really.
I thought Baloo was like smurfing so hard there. I mean, in fairness,
typical jungler.
It would have been.
They do the work, and then nobody thanks them. Someone else gets the credit.
I mean, in fairness, Flipper's 2 and 6, so he has some redeeming to do.
All right, so the Chemtech's now been upgraded onto Chell. I'm actually curious what it's called. Can we get a quick hover? Turbocharged Hexa Permit.
What is that name? Cool. Turbocharged Hexperiment. Jesus, man. I think I'm really running out of ideas when they got to that one.
200 years, but they can't come up with a decent name for the Chem Tank.
I feel like they just got
a base
words
race
and jumbled them.
We don't have
I don't think they can end. I mean, the Chew hasn't
they're not staying around. They call it the Forge God. They're looking for Flipper or somebody. Gold card charged up on the Poulsen. Is going to catch on to Hoyes. Is Hoyes able to dodge away on the hook? Poulsen, another gold card, ready to fire. The Weaver's Wall's been thrown out, and this time, a big Moonlight Vigil connects. Remember, they get a lot of movement speed here because they got that soul. Chelm, he's the one who gets caught. He's the one who gets CC'd. He's the one that loses his life and is forced out. The Destiny's being used, and Hoyes has to run to the wind. Are they going to follow? Is he going to port? And Hoyes is all alone. Poulsen's going to be looking for him here. He's actually just ports into the base. This might just be the end of the game here. Can Hoyes get back? Can Hoyes save the day?
What? There's 2 Nexus towers up. I guess he's trying to bait so they can go Baron, but I don't know, man. I think there was better places to go.
So messy.
I mean, I guess they kind of have to respond. I don't think they were gonna...
What? They're teleporting from Poulsen now. Legions is going to be able to run down. Got a lot of movement speed. Spots him heading into the bush. Catches him with a Chaos Storm, but a great stun comes in. Here is Hoyes. No blast cone for you. You can stop watch all you like. You're going to lose that Baron, friend. Hoyes gets the shutdown.
Like, they didn't have a jungler. They weren't gonna take Baron anyway. I don't know, man. There was a lot of places I imagined Poulsen going with that ult, and that was not one of them. I mean, I don't know what Dusty doing here either. I'm just gonna flat out say it. Like, you're not ending the game against 2 Nexus turrets. It doesn't work like that. And they try and go for some crazy engage, which just doesn't work because they're behind the inhibitor. And with the rapid fire cannon, a Chew can just consistently throw down stun cards again and again. It's like a really effective way of doing this. Constantly looking for these picks. And it's just time after time they're landing them. Eventually they get that pick on the Udyr, and with that, it's like, cool, we took the jungler down. They're all super low HP. We can go Baron. He actually has the ult ready, so I'm like, cool, he's probably going to go for a play, maybe cleans up the Victor, low HP, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, nope, I'm going bot to die. I don't want to live on this earth anymore. And Poulsen also had a Medjay, so even worse. He just sacrificed all his stacks.
Tower does go down in the side of Dusty's base while we're in that replay. They decided to try and end the game of Poulsen being dead.
I'm
nothing
losing my mind a bit here, honestly. You can't just run mid. You don't have Baron. Both Nexus towers are up. And Tricked are there to defend, and they have wave clear. And they're just like, let's just run mid and end. It doesn't work like that. Maybe if you were like 10k gold up, right? I'd be like, cool, that's fair. But they're 6k gold down. Just please stop running mid. We're not NA. This isn't an NA RAM. And what frustrates me is that Dusty have had some really good setups this game, some really good plays to punish a Chew, and now they're just like, let's run mid. I don't know. Anyway, back on the game. A Chew level 18. which is pretty nuts altogether. Poise just hit level 16, so quite a bit behind. And Achu gets a fair bit from leveling up. Obviously,
Yeah, he
has all
does.
those
You
crazy
don't get
stats.
points in abilities, you get points in stats. As Nilly and Flipper may be looking for some of these Dusty members, but a good Void Seeker will spot them out.
Go,
and
Hoys.
actually slides straight in onto Flipper. Flipper's gonna die. Uses the stopwatch. Nilly gets the slam. They get killed by the Call of the Forge God. The Midnight Vigil only hits onto one. The Resurrection's coming in, and Paulson may just look to try and get the flank off with the Destiny. He's going into the mid lane to join the rest of the team. Tricked have lost 2 already, and Shelm is bolting for a Chew. The Lantern means he's out, though. The Gravity Field has been used, and there's going to be the Void Seeker thrown out. Elder Dragon is on the Rift. And Legion and Hoys are looking to end the game with 1 caster minion.
Bro, this team has an obsession with trying to end me. I can't.
Oh, wait. Oh, Baloo gets his base stopped. That's no fresh, actually, now.
Oh, look, that 1 minion died. Actually, they still kill the task.
Maybe you're wrong, mate. Gold
I
card
mean,
lands
they
onto
still
Legions.
don't end
Two flashes
regardless.
forward. Legions has to stopwatch. Pedersen maybe looking for something, but not enough.
Wow.
Hook goes wide. Honestly, lucky for Pedersen.
What a great play that was.
What is going on?
I don't
Wait.
know. I really don't. What a great player, though. Definitely worth it. The one next to tower that potentially lose Elder Dragon for.
They're looking for Achu. The flash, they jump in
Oh.
onto him. He has to land
Great
to get away
lantern.
to safety. Here comes Flipper onto the back line. Achu's trying to just put the
He's
stamina down.
healing.
He's going to be forced into the resurrect. He has no one and nowhere to go. Achu is shut down, and Dusty have just thrown the game right out the window into the bin. This is Tricked who are going to take it.
Absolute scenes, Jake. Absolute scenes. Blackshift can... No. I mean, he can try and clear the wave, buy himself some time. He has 15 seconds on Legions, but realistically, we all know the answer. This game's over. I'm trying to hype it, but done.
Here's the Call of the Forge God to clear the wave out, but he is slammed back into his own tower. Uses the Bellows Breath to dodge out. Bot lane inhibitor respawns, but it is just too little. It is just too late. Dusty throw the game out of their hands, and Tricked in 40 minutes find the win.
Honestly, I just... It's kind of frustrating because Dusty could have won that game, and they just kept running it mid for no reason. Like, credit to Tricked for stabilizing, finding their way back into the game, finding those windows, and scaling up and using their comp how they needed to. But both teams had a lot of errors that game that they need to take a look at and go, okay, we definitely shouldn't have done that, or we definitely shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
What a wild one. What a great way to end the day, though, I will
What a
say.
great way to end the day.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 games, honestly, we learned a lot. Don't go melee versus Galio, and don't just run it mid. I mean, it's super simple stuff, but even teams in the NLC seem to be making that mistake. We're going to pass it over to our analyst desk to break this down a little bit more, though, so we can catch a breather. See you in a second.
Like, the last 10 minutes of that game was just like, who the hell could run it down harder? And I think like there was definite points where you were like, Dusty's won. Nope. Okay. Tricked has won. No. Okay. Dusty's won. Okay. No. That was an absolute fiesta. If I remember correctly, the first matchup between these two was a bit of a fiesta. They topped the fiesta, and they've like inceptioned the fiesta for the second series. That was actually nutty. That late game's giving me a headache. Honestly, I've got a headache now.
But you know, to be fair, I don't know if this is a compliment or an insult, but this is kind of some of the best we've seen Dusty as well. Like they've obviously had a win, but this is one of the more competitive games they had, and in another world, they would have closed this one out with greater coordination. There's a lot of time where you could feel that they were desperate and just going for the end and going back into the game. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that you could have done different. Trick got the Drake stacking going in the early game, which put them in a really comfortable position to actually go into that. The fact that they then kind of throw the game a bit away there, that's on Tricked, but it's also on Dusty to try and punish on that, and they couldn't just get it through the whole way.
Yeah, it kind of, once the game sort of lost the stability, it felt like it turned into a scrim game where either team was just like willing to just throw everything at each other. But yeah, honestly, credit to Dusty, like you say. I don't think it's necessarily an insult. It's the best they've actually looked, because they were giving it to Trick too. Across the board, you know, there's arguments to be made about how strong the players actually are one-to-one. And generally speaking, their macro play, their play around the neutrals has been really good. But this game, once they lost their footing, they really looked shaky, and Dusty just kept them like off kilter, really.
Well, Jamada, I'm going to draw you in again because you've got
Yes.
a clip that you want to break down for this game.
Now-
So let's take a look at the clip that you want to talk about, Professor Jamada.
There's not much like analysis going on here. I just kind of want to see the fight again because Tricked, prior to this fight that I have on our screen, they basically got caught out in practically the same way, where we have this ARAM going on in the mid lane. We have Tricked catching the wave up really high. I believe Paulson still has Baron, as you can see. I can't quite make out if Archu still has the Baron buff, but they lost quite a few members of the Baron buff, so they don't necessarily feel too comfortable playing multiple lanes at the moment. And because of this, we kind of get this ARAM scenario where we have the entirety of the Trick team basically waiting in fog up in this sort of pocket, waiting for the wave to get down here. And it all kind of just kicks off with Pedersen walking a little bit too far forward, and Paulson walks out of fog to chuck the gold card. Now, it's totally fine. Bolu then follows up with the hook, which you can see rightfully so connects onto the very stunned up support player. And this is when we kind of just see too much of a commit. And Dusty are like, okay, you guys are running it down into our team fight composition when you guys are the team that wants to play multiple lanes. Bet, okay, let's fight. And we just get a multiple man on the ultimate into the Norless ultimate 2, and Hoy's just dives in, cleans house. And Tricked, honestly, I think for a large portion of this game kind of felt lost once they lost their momentum. Particularly, I believe it was around the first Herald, where the setup wasn't quite perfect and they were able to be contested on it. And here you go.
Yeah, and I think that highlight showed you just how easily Tricked could have won this game. Like the way those late game team fights were going when they played them correctly. Sorry, not Tricked. Dusty could have won this game. So Dusty could have taken this game relatively easily. I mean, that entire end game was a complete fiesta. But luckily, I've got someone who was actually in that game to help talk me through it. So I'm going to bring Flipper in to chat to.
Hi.
Flipper. That late game was a complete fiesta.
Yeah.
Please talk me through like what happened. Like there was a decision to send TF bot to try and get the win through a split push, but then you had to bring him back. Like what was your end goal? Like were you thinking that you had to get like a side lane split push win, or were you thinking that you could maybe eke out a team fight win? What was the thought process for Trick?
I think in the game we were getting kind of lost on what to do. In this game, it's kind of like one of the first times in our official games where it felt like throughout the entire game we were a bit lost on what to do, which was like really strange because usually we are not like in any like situation where we think we're in trouble. But from draft, even when we were talking about draft, we knew it was gonna be hard. So in that way, it was we sent tier bot and we were just sending people all over the map, and we were like kind of aping it. Was would I call it, instead of like using our brains.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't think you were the only team in that game doing that. I think Dusty also made some rather interesting decisions. So I think essentially it was a game of catch, and whoever dropped the ball at the end ended up losing. Did you think that when that team fight happened in mid, you know, where Udyr cancelled the back of someone with a smite, and I think it was like difficult, like you were trying to get people back to base. Did you think you'd lost at that point? Were you like, crap, it's over?
I mean, at least for me, there was many points in the game where I was like, I think they can end, guys. And it was kind of, it's kind of crazy. But I mean, the team pulled through, and I think a big shout out to Archu because he definitely smurfed in some fights, and that was really nice to see.
Yeah, him and Paulson just had some pretty clutch moments, but especially Archu had some really big moments. And that I remember watching the last team fight that happened in the blue side jungle, and Balu's lantern to just keep Archu going with his red weapon good. Was absolutely insane. Like that was a really, really good team fight. Obviously you're now 5-1. So you're 5-1 in Group A. You are essentially only having lost to Excel. Obviously, they are now going to be the team that I guess you're turning your sights to, given that they're the only team that you haven't yet been able to beat, you know, in that group. Do you feel like you can take XL out next time you beat them?
I mean, I feel like if we, at least from today, if we play like we do today, we definitely won't beat XL. But I think we have showed in a lot of other games that we can be very calm and very like easygoing in the game, and we won't like mess up as hard as we did this game. So I think if we continue the track that we have had done in the other games, we will be able to beat them. But I think if we don't pick off us the slack from a game like this, then it will definitely be a tough opponent.
Yeah, I think I think you guys have what it takes. I think when you play at your peak, you're an incredibly strong team, and I think obviously your scoreline reflects that. You're definitely making a run for playoffs, and hopefully, you know, if things align, maybe even European Masters. So Flipper, it's nice to talk to you, mate. Good luck for your games coming in the second half of the split, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you much. See you guys.
Bye, Flipper.
Bye, Flipper.
Goodbug just sending. Goodbug just wanted to say bye to Flipper there. Okay, so let's take a look back at today. Have a look back at some of the moments that we had across our games, and again, we're going to start off with that Fnatic and M&M game.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was we did not expect M&M to give Fnatic such a hard time, and sometimes it does raise the question: is this Fnatic being a bit weaker, or is it just them kind of rising to the level of their opponents, or in this case, falling to the level of their opponents? I don't know. This is something that we'll go on to see because they're a bit inconsistent to me.
Yeah, I do agree. And this game, I mean, well, just, you know, don't give Olaf to red side teams. I think that's kind of the blurb of the game.
Olaf and Kaiser, by the way.
Yeah,
you don't
Olaf,
want to
Olaf
both
and Kaiser. It was a bit of an unfortunate draft, I think, for Riddle. A little bit of revision, in my opinion, to do here. This game was a treat. More or less just watching Quick Timer kind of just 1v9 and, well, Mishigu on the AP Twitch, the bottom side. Still gave us some entertainment. But, man, I think, honestly, surprising us a little bit, Godsend. Because, I mean, all of the predictions were in favor of them. No one really... Oh, no. Yeah, all in favor
Yeah,
of...
it was.
All in favor of
favor.
Granite, not for Godsend, so...
Exactly. And I think maybe we should start respecting them a bit more. I definitely like what we saw out of Godsend. We are getting a bit of a view of what we've just seen with Dusty, but, you know, let's put that game on a bit of an ice here and then and keep talking here, because I feel like Godsend really pulled something out today that was different from what we've seen earlier. We saw some team composition that actually makes sense. We saw an identity, and that was really lovely to see our teams evolve as well. Even Dusty, to some extent, are starting to look better.
Yeah, I mean, that game, you might not think it, but Dusty really worked Tricked into the late game there, and I think that's the most important part, getting to that point. Let's have a look at our MVP for the day, and this is selected by your very own Professor Gulborg. It is Quick Timer from Godsend. Heat-seeking hooks, clutch lanterns, great peeling, and reliable. There you go. Quick Timer getting the pickup here for Godsend, and you know, credit to him. He had an absolutely insane game on that Thresh. So gonna give a little clap there for Quick Timer. Thank you, Gilborg, for your excellent choice. You are just the biggest brain on the.
I mean, I thought he was the one that stood the most out. Yeah, thank you. I just thought he was the one that stood the most out as well. Like some really clutch hooks today, and to me, Quick Timer, we've seen his part as well. That's something he can be extremely reliable on. I think he is a talent, but it's just not always showing. But when he is comfortable, and when he is on champions where he can have an impact on the game, as we saw here, you can really see how good of a player this guy actually is. And I think today was one of the joyful days of watching that.
Yeah, it was really good. Let's have a look at the standings then to round out the day, see where we've ended up in both Group A and Group B. As I said to flip it in the interview, Trick now 5-1. XL, of course, will be playing tomorrow, I believe. So, of course, have a chance to potentially better that score overall or match it. And we have then also Granite now down at 3-3. Godsend slowly climbing their way back up at 2-4. Nordavind at 1-4. And Dusty at 1-5. Dusty, again, a bit of a fiesta game. But, you know, they're still in with a shot at kind of contesting at the bottom end of the table for that fourth spot for the playoffs. Because, of course, we still have lots of games in this split left to go. Let's take a look over at Division B. Drum roll, please. And Fnatic rising at the top with Barrage and Team Singularity, all 4-1. This group is the same every single week. Our top three teams end up at 4-1. Our bottom three teams end up at 1-4. Yes, we have a 50-50 split in this group. So right now, like, I think realistically, what we're going to see this group pan out to be is 3 clear front runners fighting for 1 to 3, and then the rest of the teams just scrapping for that fourth spot, because right now there is a big gap opening up between the top end of the table and the bottom end of the table here. Guys, tomorrow, so tomorrow we've got Nordavind versus BTXL. Like I said, we have Kova versus M&M, Barrage versus Fnatic, and Riddle versus Team Singularity. Any of those games do you think are going to be particular bangers, Gulborg?
I mean, Yeah, I think we're in for some bangers here. I think it could be interesting, always interesting watching to see if Riddle can bounce back. And then against Singularity is definitely a team that we haven't seen today, but has done really well. So to me, I just want to see that bot lane improve and continue. I love watching Prosper and Drakta, and I think there are some of the UK prospects that can actually do you guys proud.
Yeah, and I also want to add to that. I think Eminem Kova could be an interesting game just because it might actually set the tone for the remainder of their regular season split here. Because, I mean, they're both 1-4. Like we said, it's a massive split, right? So winning this game is really important for both sides. And losing, realistically, you could even go as far as saying might just end up sealing the fate of the loser to the bottom two of the group.
Well, actually, importantly, as you said, I think you quite rightly kind of alluded to, we have a really close race for that 4th spot in Group B right now, because there is obviously, like I said, that big gap opening up between the top 3 and the bottom 3. This win will set either of those teams up in a good spot for potentially chasing that 4th spot. But guys, of course, that is tomorrow. We'll be back the same time, same place. Of course, though, if you want to check out more League of Legends action, check out some of the Telia Master broadcasts across the regional Nordic leagues. Your boy Goldborg, he does the Telia Masters Denmark League. You have, of course, I just talked to M-Test in the interview earlier, who featured on the Telia Masters Swedish League. There is regional leagues for all of the Telia Masters, so go and check them out, as well as the UKLC, of which Jamada casts with Hitbrain on both a Sunday and a Monday. So there's plenty of up-and-coming league action in the UK and Nordic region where we can see that up-and-coming talent as well. So make sure you check it out. But for now, we'll see you later and goodbye.